To Taxing Subjects, where we talk about the intersection of taxes, money, and real life. Today, I'm joined by Cody Farnes, who's a financial advisor with Ameriprise Financial and someone who I regularly collaborate with through mutual client referrals. Cody works with individuals and business owners on investment planning, retirement strategy, and long-term financial decisions. And today, we're going to talk about a newer service he's offering around business valuations, which is something I think a lot of business owners don't realize that they should be thinking about until it's too late. Well, Cody, thanks for being here today. Welcome to Taxing Subjects. I'm excited to talk with you this morning, and I appreciate you taking the time. I was hoping we could start with maybe someone who's clicked on this and is new to financial planning. Could you kind of talk about what you do and who you help?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you having me on today. I really think that me and my team are at our best with folks who are in the maybe 1 to 5 year pre-retirement stage. And they've probably made a lot of good decisions as far as saving and maybe property ownership along the way. And they're looking for a team and a group to help them primarily feel peace of mind that they are on track and can achieve the type of retirement lifestyle that they're looking for. And for the folks we work with, it can be vastly different in what's important and how they approach retirement or financial independence, however you choose to think about it. But they want to know, am I doing the right things? Do I have enough? If it's important for them to travel, can they afford that? All of the check marks along the way, we try to help give advice and give really as much information as possible for someone to make an informed decision about finally pulling the trigger and quitting work, or phasing back. Maybe it's part-time or something entirely different and stress-free, but we want them to feel really confident in that decision and the decisions following, as far as when do I draw Social Security, when do I take a pension benefit if they have that. So a few big milestones along the way we can be really helpful with. But I tell folks a lot, our oldest client will be 103 in March, and our youngest client is 8 months old. So we really do help the whole spectrum of folks in their financial journey.
Nice. Well, thank you for that. So, kind of what I'm hearing is maybe people that have just been going about their lives and putting money away in retirement through their company's plan or through their own self-employed plan if they have their own business, but now it's finally time to start thinking about getting the money back out.
You bet. Yeah. And that's really when it becomes the rubber meets the road, so to speak, of, I've kind of perhaps mindlessly or not really paid attention to how I've saved into my employer plan. But now it's time to turn that into my paycheck. And that transition can be confusing. And sometimes their retirement plan at work is limited in the options that they have. And sometimes people don't even know what it's invested in or how to reallocate it more appropriately for retirement and purely for growth. So that's a lot of the hand holding that we do, is so that they can feel, hey, I know exactly what's going on. We can help facilitate some of their tax withholding to make sure that's in line for presumed tax rate changes in retirement. So we really
Mhm.
do, yeah, answer some of those question marks for folks. And not everyone has to entrust us with managing their money. We really believe in the full picture of financial planning, whether people want to manage their own money or entrust us to do it. We really want to be able to give the roadmap and then let people run with it as they see fit.
Nice. I think that's why we collaborate and work together so well because that's what I want to provide to my clients too. And I see such value in my own life and the lives of our clients in getting that professional advice and guidance because sometimes peace of mind is what you're looking for. And having someone who has expertise in this area, who's dealt with it before, to be on your team and be able to provide you with that guidance is really life-changing, honestly. So I know
But
sometimes people feel intimidated. At least I've had that feedback from some of my clients reaching out to a financial advisor. So could you take a minute to just kind of talk through what that looks like with you if someone did want to possibly pursue working with you? What would their first step be, and kind of what would that initial process look like?
yeah, absolutely. I tell folks when they come in the first time, or if we meet virtually the first time, that the first meeting is one of my favorite because there's no expectation. They haven't hired us at all. There's no cost for an initial consultation, and I call it a meet and greet more often because I really want to know what motivated that person to come see us in the first place. And maybe it's pre-retirement, maybe it's well in advance of that, but everyone has different motives and hopes and goals. And so getting a really good sense of that, I feel good advisors have a lot of tools in their tool belt. So they can come in and say, hey, I'm a millennial. I feel like buying a first home is impossible. What do I do to reconcile this feeling? And so we'll address that. Or someone who is retired and they say, hey, fixed income is tricky for me. What options do I have to increase cash flow or change up how things feel? That first meeting is really just for us to get to know what's important for the person sitting across the desk. And then if we're the right fit for them, we're not the fit for everyone. And so if it's a fit where we can help answer those questions, maybe we have some tools that can help. That's what we're looking to identify. And then within that first meeting, clients will know exactly what they're paying for. So we make it really clear up front. If you choose to engage with our team, here are the costs associated with that. Nothing is hidden. It's fully transparent because I feel that our industry has a reputation of hidden fees and exorbitant fees. And so I want to make sure that people know exactly what they're paying and exactly what they're getting. And usually we try to over deliver on that too. If there's as much value as we can offer, then we try to provide that so that clients really feel they're getting the best bang for their buck.
Nice. Well, I really appreciate that about you. And I
Yeah.
try to run my business the same way. I want to be really transparent about pricing and fees up front and that I'm not always the best fit for someone's needs. But I think what another thing that we share in common is the importance of networking and having other professionals in our court too, so that when we meet with clients who might not be the best fit, we have resources to refer them out to. So kind of on that note of us collaborating and being able to help clients, can you speak to some of the experiences that you've had where it's beneficial to bring a tax person into the loop and kind of have that team approach to um, retirement and financial planning in general?
You bet. And there's a number of times, and one recently was with a business owner client of mine, and they were basically, between me and their CPA, they were saying, hey, the business is doing well. We want to be able to deduct more. We're looking to save on taxes. And the tax preparer and I were able to conference call with them. And the answer became, let's set up a simple plan for your business. And this tax preparer can basically provide that direction. We can execute on that, create the simple plan. It's called that for a reason. It's set up in a day, and then we can create the new accounts and get them off and running by the beginning of the year. And then it was neat for them too, because I can then go to their business and educate their eligible employees and say, hey, here's the benefit that you have now. Let's get the paperwork done while I'm here. You can decide how much you want to contribute, and then you'll be off and running too. And it's just a neat value, not only for the business owners, but then their employees, and the tax guy can give really clear direction and we can execute on that. And I think to speak for the clients, I think for them, they're just looking for the office or the group that can take care of each of those needs, right? And we get
Mhm.
asked all the time, hey, can you do our taxes too? We can't do that, but I know a number of great folks who can help you with that. And it's a lot more cohesive when we're in touch with their tax preparers, because tax preparers will have lots of great ideas, and then the client can come to us and say, hey, here's what my tax preparer mentioned. What things can we take action on? What makes sense for our big picture plan? How does it impact the results of our plan? And then for them to be able to really see it illustrated out. Oh, great. Here's the stuff we want to do ASAP. Here's the stuff that we'll put on the back burner for a year or 2 years down the road or something. And it becomes really valuable for them to see tangibly in our projections, hey, yeah, this is, the difference of a few percent of your retirement projection. And they really
Mhm.
latch on to that figure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always great to get advice before you do things. I've had over the years clients come to me after the fact. Maybe they've pulled a bunch of money out of their retirement all at once because they had it and they could afford it, but maybe being more strategic and spreading it out over a few years would have allowed them to pay a much lower tax rate on that withdrawal. But once it's been done, it's done. So if you already have your team in place, and especially a team of people who can talk to each other on your behalf and find the best scenario overall for your situation, it usually comes out to the client's advantage. So I
But
really
and we found
appreciate
too
that.
that yeah, that tax professionals can be really valuable when it comes to strategies like Roth conversion. I think
Mhm.
that sort of thing sounds really appealing to folks who have most of their savings in a pre-tax 401k or IRA, and they think, oh, yeah, I'd love for this all to be tax-free. And then we look at their tax bracket, and you'd be paying 33% between federal and state taxes to convert this. And do you have enough runway for it to gain that back, or is it more important for your heirs to inherit this fully tax-free? What's the motive behind the strategy? And then we can decide if it makes sense. It doesn't just need to make financial sense, it can make emotional sense. But usually when the tax preparer is involved and is saying, hey, here's the actual numbers to what you're thinking, then they can, again, it's a more informed decision that way.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great example. Roth conversions are really popular right now, and I've had quite a few people reach out to me over the last year interested in it, but not really sure what it even is or what it entails or when it would be best to do that. So that is an excellent example of
But
something that takes strategy from multiple sides of your financial picture in order to make the best decision for you. So
certainly.
yeah. Well, we were going to talk a little bit about a new service that you have been offering to your business clients in terms of valuing their business. So I'll let you kind of just dive in and tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's again, it's for just like you're mentioning, specific business owner clients who have hired our group to go through a planning process for them. And for most of those folks, the business is a significant portion of their net worth. And it's often a very nebulous figure that they'll come up with. They'll, oh, I think it's worth about this much. It's like, okay, I'd love to plan on that, but where are you getting that number from? Well, I got some equipment and, I kind of have a recurring revenue stream. And the firm that we partner with is called Principal. They're an insurance company as well. And they have an internal branch that does thousands of these business valuations each year. And so our intermediary role is submitting three previous tax returns, the business tax returns to Principal, and then they run the numbers and they do a great job of providing an informal valuation in the sense that they're not going into the books and truly lifting every stone. They're usually just using the tax returns and the financial information there, and then they'll run a few different calculations to come up with the valuation. And for most folks, it's not the point where, okay, this is set in stone, I'm going to go out to market and this is the price I'm going to get. But it does fill the role of, hey, now we have at least a little more concrete figure of what your business is worth now. And then you can go and say, okay, it's worth me hiring a business coach or someone to help figure out how to increase the value of this. Or maybe, hey, this is all the value that I need. We get to kind of work backward for them of, hey, this is the cash flow that I need. What does the business need to be worth post tax to figure to satisfy that cash flow need? And so we can
Mhm.
work backward a little bit, and then once they've got an idea, it's a little easier to put in action steps and say, okay, here's the steps I'm taking over the next 3 5 years to increase the value of my business. And then I'm going to find a great business broker, and then we're going to get this sold or transition to the family or however that goes. And then in the meantime, if they don't, business owners are generally extremely good at running their business, and a number of the tertiary items can be an afterthought. So we'll help them make sure, what's the plan D where all of a sudden something catastrophic happens to you tomorrow. Is there an arrangement in place for someone to be able to buy the business? Is there the adequate insurance policies to make sure that it's funded? What are the pieces that if something goes horribly wrong, that this can still be the point in the plan that it's intended to be. So a lot of that is just kind of keeping tabs on the business owner to make sure you keep running and growing your business. We want to be your quarterback to say, okay, these things need to be in place, these things need to be in place. Now you can just have the peace of mind that it's set.
Hmm. Yeah, that's all great advice and things to be thinking about. And I think a lot of times people get excited about the entrepreneurial journey and go into business without really thinking about those other things. I mean, I've met a lot of people who don't even haven't even thought about the concept of selling their business, because if you don't build your business right, then sometimes there's not a lot to sell. But if you can start thinking about it in advance and build not just the service that you're offering, but systems and processes behind the scenes that really help the business operate with or without you, then it can be a huge asset for you when it is time to retire. And to kind of tie it into taxes, if you were to sell it all at once and get a big payout, you'd probably pay a lot more in taxes. And there's other ways that you can structure that sale with the new owner to where potentially it could benefit you. So all good things to be collaborating with multiple professionals about and getting advice in different areas to make the best decision for you and your business.
Absolutely. And a lot of folks will have a property component to their business too, of maybe they own the building and rent back to themselves, or they own a bunch of equipment and things like that. And there can be, like you're saying, some strategies along the way of those assets being valuable. And then what do we do when it's got all this capital gain associated? And how do we structure that to be wise about how that is taxed over time or all in one year? And an informed
Mhm.
decision again, but yeah, it's valuable to have that.
Yeah, that sounds like a great addition to your suite of services that you offer. So
Yeah,
I'm excited
certainly.
to be able to tell any of you watching about this service. And is there anything else that you can think of that you'd like to share with anyone watching in terms of maybe how they would reach out to you, or what their best next step would be if this has sparked some interest?
Yeah, if there's any interest at all, absolutely reach out. We're a team of three advisors, and we are licensed in 23 different states. So we have the capability to do things virtually, lots, e-signature capabilities. It's all really doable. And yeah, it's worth an exploration because while we're not a fit for everyone, we do feel we can provide advice even if we're not the right fit. So if it's just starting out, if it's a specific question, we do want to be a resource. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out, email, phone. We're available. We're here local in the Portland area, but yeah, we work with folks all across the country.
Nice. Well, I will figure out how to post your information in the YouTube notes. Thank you so much for your time today, Cody. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I appreciate all the advice and guidance that you've given my clients, and it's been great collaborating with you and helping our mutual clients over the last couple of years. Um, I think that you've given some really good examples of how proactive planning, especially for business owners, can make a huge difference when taxes, valuation, and long-term strategy are all aligned. So I look forward to collaborating with you more in the future. And we're both here to help you out and have a whole network of great referral partners if we aren't the best fit. So we look forward to serving your financial needs.
Thanks, Shay. This was a pleasure.